Welcome to North of 60. I'm Heidi Schweighoefer. Today we're going to start a two-part series for the month where I'm going to talk with the new ward city council representatives. The candidates are going to be 2 today and then 2 towards the end of the month. So think about things while you're watching this show. You all saw the series of discussions we had about senior offerings in other surrounding cities, and think about that now while you listen to our Ward 1 representative, Patricia Goetz, and our Ward 3 representative, Mike Donovan. So, thank you. All right, you guys, we're ready to roll here. And I think I want to just start by asking you, I'll start with you, Pat, why are you doing this? What has made this something you want to do? And tell me a little bit about your ward.
Well, for the past 3 years, I've been concerned about how Hudson and our neighboring communities have been doing. And I decided I wanted to do this for my grandkids. I have 3 grandkids that live here in Hudson, and I feel that it's important to make this city better, stronger for them.
Good for you.
I live in Ward 1, which is a historic district,
Okay.
and the downtown, so it has a lot of charm. It does have some problems with things like sewers and water runoff, and as many other parts of Hudson has some problems with streetlights. If you've ever walked down my street at night, it's very hard to see without tripping. But in general, it's so walkable and it's so wonderful, and there's so many gorgeous trees, which, you know, with the current environment, we have to be concerned about because our trees are starting to get attacked by bugs that will kill them because of the increased heat. And we may lose a lot of our tree canopy.
That is exactly what I've been hearing and reading about.
One of the other issues for Ward 1 is what's happening to our local businesses, that there are a number of empty storefronts on Main Street there. Part of it is that it's owned by private individuals, and the rents are very high, and it makes it hard for a small business to survive there. My dad had a small business near Toledo, and when a big highway went through, his business went down by 75%. So I know what government can do to hurt businesses, and we need to really help our businesses survive.
It makes me sad to drive through downtown and see, you know, this used to be the Great Colt, this used to be the cupcake store, and now see those empty. It's too bad. Mike, what about you? Tell me why you've decided to do this and a little bit about Ward 3.
Thanks, Heidi. So my name's Mike Donovan. I've lived in Hudson for 19 years with my family. All 3 of our kids have gone through Hudson schools and graduated.
Yay.
Which makes me, you know, I understand seniors and empty nesters because that's where we are now, just recently. I'm running for Ward Councilman in Ward 3 because I believe that residents of Ward 3 deserve a choice. The candidate, the only opponent to the incumbent, had to withdraw recently. And very quickly, I mean, only a week ago, I found out that we needed an opponent to the incumbent. So I filed with the Board of Elections, and I'm a write-in candidate. So write in Mike Donovan if you live in Ward 3.
Good for you.
And Ward 3 is the southeast quadrant of Hudson. So east of 91 and south of 303.
Okay.
Colony Park is in my backyard.
Okay.
So if you're familiar, so we live on Stony Hill, and Colony Park is in my backyard. And I was a coach in Kiwanis baseball for years when we lived on the north side of town. And so it's funny, 9 years ago, we moved down to Ward 3 and Colony Park area. And but we love it because it's very active. We walk in the park every day with our dog, my wife and I. Sometimes the kids, when they're home, will come with us. And I love hearing the sound of the aluminum bat, you know, hitting a baseball.
I bet
in the
you do.
summertime. It's great. It's great.
That's a very nice, walkable,
It
close
is.
neighborhood.
And right, Colony
I know.
Park is nearest, and Barlow Park is a short walk too, so I walk up there as well. But
That's
Ward
beautiful.
3 goes all the way east to 480. So that includes Huntington Estates,
Oh, no kidding.
Wyndham what is it? Wingate Farms. I'm probably getting that wrong, but it's Firelands Drive and that area.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And then, Canterbury, that's in Ward 3. So really from 91, it's again, the southeast quadrant of town.
Okay.
So from
All right.
91 east, 303 south.
I was with some folks at a luncheon not too long ago, and some people were not absolutely sure which ward they're in. And I know that there was a change with
Yeah.
Ward 1.
One and
that
two-
was,
and
yeah,
two,
okay, yeah.
You can go on the Board of Elections, the Summit County Board of Elections, and put in there's a place where you can put in your address and it'll tell you what ward you're in.
And then you said that on the website, on the city website, there's a ward map.
There's a ward map.
That was very helpful
Yeah.
for me to look at too.
Yeah.
Well, so we know a little bit about you. We know a little bit about the geographic location of your ward. I kind of want to ask, what do you think our residents want in council people at this time, in our council leaders? Pat, I'll start with you again.
What I'm hearing from the voters is that they want people that are civil to each other, people that are
Amen.
willing to compromise and problem solve, and to actually solve some of the problems instead of just putting it off and putting it off. So that's what I hear from the people out in my ward.
What about you, Mike? What are you hearing?
I think they want people who are honest, people who have integrity, people who are willing to listen to their constituents and their colleagues and work with their colleagues.
Amen. All right. I think you are absolutely right. That's certainly what I want. What do you think? So that's what they want from council people. Is that what they want in the city of Hudson? I'm trying to get to this without. It seems like things have gotten so egregious over the last couple of years, and so politically against each other. I think people are really sick of that. Are you hearing that as well?
I'm certainly hearing that. People are concerned. They want the council members to work with each other and with staff, not to be suing each other in court.
Well,
That's not what they elected them for.
And that brings up this whole lawsuit thing. And the reason I think it's something we need to talk about is because I learned about it some time ago, but then I saw this clip on Fox 8 News that was 7 months ago, pointing out this legal argument that City Council has taken on at that point fees of over $15,000. And as of now, those legal fees have been well over $150,000, increasing the legal budget, and yet it seems like it's just an issue that could be dealt with a handshake. And I have such difficulty with what's going on. Tell me your views on this, folks.
Well, first off is that they censured this councilwoman,
Right.
of which there is no such thing in our city charter. So they did something that's not there.
Censure is not.
No, it is not in the city charter.
No kidding.
It's in Robert's rules, but this didn't qualify for Robert's rules. This was a censure of her saying that she spent legal fee money when she shouldn't have, when she was trying to investigate our current campaign finance law, which is very restrictive and has been violated by people, but nothing happened to those people that violated it.
Right.
And she wasn't after that person. She just wanted to know, is it legal? And if it's legal, or can we change it? How can we change it? Whatever.
Clarification.
Right. So that is interesting that they used a censure. And, you know, for some of us like me, I'm near the end of my career. something like that on the internet, I don't care. But for the younger folks that are in council, that could have a ramification on their career. So
Very
it was
true.
really a very detrimental, mean kind of thing to do.
I agree.
But you know, Mike is right, and you're right. If people would just sit down and talk and come to some kind of agreement, if they would have just said, "You're spending too much money, let's just stop it," things could have been resolved rather than this way.
And it's still going on, is my understanding. Although the council person who was censured has agreed to just drop everything and just let's settle this.
It was if they would take away the censure.
The censure.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think it's a good use of our taxpayer money?
I don't think it's what the citizens elected members of council to go there for. They were not. People don't want fights. They just want this to work. Council members to work together and, you know, get the roads paved and sidewalks put in and get the work done. They don't want these personal fights.
Yep, I agree with you. I'd like to believe that that is, that's going to be handled. I don't know. Maybe if we have new city council members, maybe that will help it
Well,
all go
apparently
away.
it keeps getting put off in court till after
To
the
the
election.
election. Yes, I've heard that. I heard that. An issue that seniors are concerned about in Hudson, as I'm sure they are throughout Summit County, is the increase on our house appraisals. I know when we got the letter, we were just flabbergasted. I think it went up like $140,000 from the last time. I know that it's hard for seniors to then think about paying increased property tax in the future based on these. And of course, we have a school levy coming up. And I think there's concern about how can I pay and then just keep paying. So I know this is not a city council thing, but do you have any ideas or what are your thoughts about this increase in appraisal and then unfortunately the timing of a levy?
Yeah, for the school, it's based on the old appraisal.
So the 2022.
And what makes it hard for this new one is they're only basing it on a year of what previous sales were. It usually is on 3 years. So when you have 3 years, there's ones that are lower in price because prices keep going up. But the state is the ones that have made all this happen. You can do something about this. You can call, it's the fiscal office at Summit County, and speak to the appraiser and ask why. If you're not happy with that, you can appeal it, but you have to either get a private appraisal yourself, evidence that there's been a lot of property damage on your property that would lower the price.
Okay.
Also show what houses around you that are comparable went for. If somebody is selling a house or you're selling a house, what the purchase agreement is. And you have from January 1st until March to do that. And I've known several people in the past that have done it that have been very successful, but it takes a bit of work.
Yeah,
so
it
that
would.
people would need
But it's an
help with
option.
that. It's an option.
And,
yeah.
and contacting, maybe at the end of the show, let's make sure there's something that indicates where people can
Right, there's a
contact
phone
that-
number and a
Okay,
website number
all right,
that I'll be
good.
happy to give you.
Have you seen that in your own neighborhood,
Yes,
Mike?
yes. I've been a homeowner for 19 years now in Hudson. And before that, in our previous house, we had this, we paid property taxes. And so I can sympathize with seniors on this, like as I said, as somebody who's now an empty nester. And,
Sure.
I appreciate that good schools, are
Right.
important.
Right, right. They are. My daughter went through all of them here in Hudson.
Yeah.
But
And we've not had an increase for 11 years.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah.
I think that there is a misunderstanding in this town that every senior is extraordinarily wealthy, living in their own home and just throwing money out the window. And that is so far from the truth. And I think these, things like this are truly of concern to many seniors to see this kind of increase in their property taxes next year.
And you'll see seniors that are working longer because of this.
Yep.
Are working part-time. I know I'm a senior, and though I love the work I do, I'm still working part-time to make sure that all my expenses are met. And the more that seniors work, then the less jobs there are for some of the younger people.
ones.
So it's important that we try to weigh it all. I know on one of your videos, somebody talked about that there was a state somewhere that's thinking about having no property taxes for seniors. I thought, now that is great.
that was brought up by the Streetsboro mayor.
Yeah.
And his comment was that if the county would allow that in his city, he would be all for it. And I have heard that there are places that do that where they are, and I think we're pretty far away from that here. But wouldn't that be lovely to...
What people don't understand is the city only gets 5% of the property taxes. The rest of it goes to whatever the millage is for the school, millage for developmental disabilities, millage for mental health, and then the rest goes to the county.
Yeah.
Or some of the state. But the city doesn't really get much of that money.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I have learned a lot so
Yeah.
far right now. This is wonderful. Thank you so
The
much.
city gets its funds from income tax. That's where the city of Hudson gets its funds. And only 25% of the people that live in Hudson actually work in Hudson. And so their income tax goes to the city where they work.
Okay.
So it's all the business people that we bring in and their employees, that's what's keeping us going.
People working from home.
Did they change that law? That if your company is like in Akron and you work from home, then your income goes to home?
That's
your
what
home
I've
city?
heard.
They did change that law?
If you're fully
Yeah.
remote, but
Yeah.
that you still have to pay, you'd pay Hudson, right? Because you work here in Hudson, even if your employer is not here.
Well, the state had to change that. I hope they did, because it makes more sense.
Yeah, it does. I don't know.
Yeah.
Seniors are they're 20%, if not higher, of the population in Hudson. I think that what we have seen is that what is offered to seniors here in this city is done by volunteers, all volunteers, some of the churches, but the Hudson Senior Network being the biggest one right now. And I guess I need to hear both of you about what do you think a city should offer their seniors? What do you think is fair? Why do you think it's not been a population that has been recognized in Hudson, although it has in literally every surrounding community to us? Mike, I'll start with you.
Well, I mean, what are you talking about? Like having physical space for?
Physical space, snow plowing, lawn raking, or leaf raking, some of the services that, a bus for day trips, a place where seniors can call their own, even if it's part of a bigger facility, but a place that feels like this is our property. This is what I can come here and have a cup of coffee and I'll see somebody I know.
Yeah. Well, I think it's something we should look at. I think that there's space available at the Barlow Community Center and at New City Hall for seniors to use.
There is, although we have been told that it's not long-lasting, it's not a permanent space. Right now there's a 3-year lease on the spaces involved for seniors. So what happens at the end of that 3 years, currently, I don't know. What do you think about services for seniors?
I think that that's something we should look at. I don't know if there's an ad hoc committee with, okay.
Nope. You mean in the city of Hudson?
Yes,
That's
yeah.
looking at that? No, there is no ad hoc committee. There's nothing, Mike. There is no, if there is something, it is 100% volunteers trying to figure things out as they go along. And that is truly the truth.
Yeah, we need a senior center that has 5 days a week programming the whole day. And listening to the 3 cities you talked about, they have that. They also are interestingly under the city's recs and parks and recs. We don't have the rec part, we just have the parks. And that they fund this through their general fund. So it is something that we could do. And in order to do it effectively, you've got to have a full-time person to coordinate it, not a volunteer. Volunteers are great, but you need a person that, if that's their dedicated job, define extra grants. Like some of the, I forget which town, they've got not 1 bus, but 2 buses. And one they got from, partially from a grant.
Yeah,
so,
Macedonia got their bus from a grant.
And so you need, that takes time, not only to look for them, but to write them up and all of that. So you need somebody dedicated to that. I'm a child psychiatrist, but I see a lot of kids that are being raised by their grandparents, and what a struggle that is. And then I also see some older adults and have some friends that are very, very lonely as seniors. And a senior center provides that kind of interaction. Now, maybe people in this city thought because we have Laurel Lake, we have these other senior housing places that we don't need it. But there's a great deal of people that do live in their own homes or live with their children, and that they need to have that contact with their peers. And so it makes so much sense that we make this a part of our city's cornerstone. And it is a black eye in our city that we haven't done anything. It really is.
I think we have been so focused on kids and families, and that's wonderful. I was thrilled with everything offered when my daughter was young. But we also then ignored this entire population. And I think, Mike, if you ever were to come into one of our Lunch and Learn programs, you would be flabbergasted at the number of people that are there, how engaged they are with what's going on, the learning that's going on, the ideas, the ideas that come up. Let's start a book club, let's do mahjong, let's do line dancing. It's just been tremendous. And I think my huge fear is that it can't go on forever as a volunteer group. It just can't. It is very, very difficult to keep this going year after year after year as purely a volunteer group with no city support. And I don't understand why we don't have the city support. I guess that's my big, I don't get it. I'd like to believe that you guys could change that. Well, we don't have, unfortunately, a lot of time. I want to ask one question about the YDC, the land there, and what your thoughts are. Mike, I'll start with you.
Well, I think that the city was wise when they decided to take on that property, because that meant that they could control how it is developed. We don't want something unsightly going there. We want it to be
a Walmart.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't want to name anybody.
Yeah.
but so the city does have some control about what happens with that, and I think it is a valuable parcel.
I do too.
So I don't know what the Department of Economic Development in the city is doing, to make sure those empty parcels, that and the parcel downtown, but I can't imagine that they're not something that there aren't, interested buyers.
I heard that YDC is mixed use for residential and business.
No, it's just commercial.
It is just commercial.
They can always change that.
Okay. And downtown, the phase 2 that never happened, there are so many people that were looking forward to being able to move to smaller homes in the downtown area where they wouldn't have to use a car. They
Yeah.
could walk to the library into Heinen's. And that, how do you both feel about that? I know we're running out of time.
Well, the YDC, they got a regular bond for $7.5 million. And the other $2.5 million came from the metro parks, and they used the north
Okay.
side of that. And so that, as Mike said, was a really good deal for all that land. However, the land downtown, we've spent $695,000 since 2017 in interest only. They didn't get a regular bond. They only did interest each year. And so that money's like out the door. We won't get that back. And so that is great for empty nester housing. The YDC property, what I have heard, they've had multiple people. There was a kind of a soccer kind of program that wanted it. There was a wind farm that wanted it. There's been many people that have approached them, but the council doesn't let anybody know until it's done, or they're going to go with something. So I know they're currently talking to somebody, but I have no idea what it's about. There's a part of me that thinks it would be nice to stay just a park because
I know.
of environmental things, and yet I know economically it probably makes sense to have something there.
Something.
Something.
Maybe not the entire property.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Okay.
I know Akron Children's, a group wanted to have a playground that was accessible, and they wanted it there because it would be close to the Akron
right.
children. Even though, I guess the physical therapy would use it, even though it would be a little bit down the road, but there was concerns because they didn't know what else they were going to use the property for. They didn't want it there, and it's not very centrally located, so they're looking more at Middleton Road perhaps for that. But we have to find money for it because right now the Parks Board doesn't have any money. They spent a lot of it on pickleball courts, which were great for seniors, but
some seniors.
yeah, some seniors that like that.
Yeah, not all of them, just some, just some. 2 minutes. What do you want to say?
I want to, I got in this race very recently because another candidate pulled out, and I felt that the residents of Ward 3 deserved a choice. So I would appeal to residents of Ward 3 to look at, your vote here, that I'm a write-in candidate, so that makes it a little harder. And so just remember to write in Mike Donovan. I have a website, electmikedonovan.com.
I think what we'll do at the end of the show is put your website in yours too, Patricia. What do you want to say?
I want to let the seniors know that on September 25th, there's going to be a senior safety fair that's sponsored by the Summit County Prosecutor's Office. And it'll be at St. Mary's Church at 11:30, and that's on 340 North Main. And so the Prosecutor's Office employees, I don't think Sherry Bevan Walsh is going to be there, but she might be there. They're going to give a lot of safety tips about how not to get scammed, how to keep your house safer, that kind of thing. So I think that would be a great thing for seniors to attend.
And at St. Mary's, I'll make sure I
Yeah.
announce that at our
Yeah.
next Lunch and Learn program.
And I
too.
just want everyone to know that I am committed to making Hudson a better place, and that I'm especially committed to seniors, our children, and our environment.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you both for being here. I
Thank
so
you, Heidi.
appreciate it. I'm sorry the time went by so quickly. Thank you for watching. Again, if you are in Ward 1 or in Ward 3, think about your choices coming up this fall, and do some good thinking about that. If we want to move along with senior, with what we want as seniors in Hudson, I think we probably need some change. So thank you for watching. There will be information at the very end of this show to reach both Mike and Patricia. Bye-bye.